Big show today, and let's start with the biggest tournament going in sports, and it's going to start later this week. Yes, we're talking Olympics. Opening ceremonies coming up in Paris Friday night on NBC. I'll be watching. I love the Olympics. I love international sports. I love anything that's special enough to be once every 4 years and can captivate an international audience. Tokyo Olympics, I don't really count because of COVID. It happened in 2021, not 2020. Tokyo got screwed out of a good deal because they had no one at those Olympics because of mandates at the time. So it feels almost like 8 years since the last time we had a true Summer Olympics, the ones in Rio de Janeiro back in 2016. So when it was announced that LeBron James is going to be the flag bearer for the American Olympic team as they go across the river on a boat, by the way, the sin, I've heard it pronounced so many different ways. He's going to be on a boat like Andy Samberg. He's going to be on a boat, and he's going to have the flag for the Americans, and it's quite the honor. And here's what I've noticed about LeBron James in regards to the current USA men's basketball team. He's the one likable dude on that team right now. And that's crazy for me to even say that, because a lot of people have a lot of feelings about LeBron James. I think some's warranted, some's not warranted. And he said a lot of things politically that have a lot of people very angry. And I understand all of those things. He's not always the most likable player on the court either. But right now, name me a more likable American basketball player than LeBron James. He's the one guy that's doing anything. They just beat South Sudan and Germany by a combined 5 points. They won the game yesterday against Germany by 4 because LeBron James was 4 for 4 down the stretch and scored the last 11 American points of the game. He takes control late in the game. 39 years old, about to be 40, and when the Americans needed a basket to survive South Sudan, they went ISO to LeBron James. And he did what he's done many times over the course of his career. He delivered. He delivered in the clutch. He drove in for a layup. Americans survive. They don't have one of the biggest upsets in the history of international basketball happen to them. And LeBron James is the hero. I like Kevin Durant. I like Steph Curry. I'm fine with Joel Embiid. I'm fine with Anthony Davis. A lot of the players of this team. They need to step up. Because I'm watching this Olympic basketball team right now, and LeBron James is the one guy truly you want to get behind because of his play. I've heard a lot about bad combinations of players and Steve Kerr trying things out, and they need to go younger and not rely on old guys, and that's their problem. Well, I need some of those younger guys to step up when they get a chance. I want to see more Americans step up when they get a chance for this men's basketball team. Once every 4 years, we get a chance to see the best in the world do battle on a global stage in a tournament that matters. I'm not talking about the FIBA World Championships. I'm talking about an Olympic gold medal. And there are players throughout history that have made their name by being superstars in that moment. I think about the Redeem team in 2008 after the Americans lost to Argentina and got a bronze medal in the 2004 Olympics. The bounce back with Kobe Bryant and how he led that 2008 team. And they beat Spain for a gold medal. Still remember it. You can go from NBA legend to international legend in this tournament. And you know the rest of the world is gunning for the United States of America, especially because of all of the comparisons to the original Dream Team with this group. This is no Dream Team. I laid that out for you yesterday. I had someone on Twitter come back at me when I said that would the Dream Team lose to South Sudan or beat South Sudan by 1 point? And they said, oh, well, there's 61 NBA players in this tournament, and the Dream Team faced 9. Well, I went and counted South Sudan's roster. They have exactly 0 current NBA players on their roster. They got a couple of G League guys. They got a couple of guys who had a cup of coffee in the NBA in 2021. They got one kid who's apparently going to be a lottery pick at some point. The Dream Team is not messing around with that team. This American team messed around with them. Now, just like the Redeem team in 2008, they have a chance for redemption. Why? The tournament hasn't even started yet. The one that matters in Paris. That gets started when they tip off against Serbia. Go win the gold medal, win it convincingly. But when LeBron James is the most likable player on your team, boy, is that surprising. But that's who he is right now. Credit where it's due. He's the most likable American on that U.S. men's Olympic team right now. And good for him to become the first U.S. men's basketball player to be the flag bearer at the opening ceremonies. Very cool for LeBron James. I thought a really good moment that was captured by cameras when Steph Curry told him in a team meeting that he was going to be carrying the flag. I thought he was legitimately humbled and honored the way he talked about it and being a part of American basketball and the Team USA for close to 20 years. I thought it was all very cool and very well done. And I highly recommend you read Armando Salguero's piece up at OutKick.com right now about how American sports figures aren't tripping over themselves in these times. You had a former president survive an assassination attempt. I didn't see anyone in the sports world make a fool of themselves by posting or saying something dumb. You had President Joe Biden step down, even though he hasn't said it yet, but step down because his health is in decline. I haven't seen a single person say anything dumb about that on social media or anywhere else. Sports have the ability to unite more than anything else. Someone else on Twitter responded to me saying this and said, sports are meant to divide. You don't say go winners when you go to the game. You're cheering for your team. You're divided against the other team. I get all that, of course. You're in a stadium, you want your team to win. You want the other team to play poorly. But when someone scores a touchdown or there's a moment of electricity on a goal or a dunk or a home run or whatever it is, when you stand up in the upper deck or in the most expensive seat in the stadium and you turn to high-five the person next to you, you don't ask them who they voted for in the last election. You give them a damn high five. And that's what sports do to us. It's great. And it's what it can do for this country also. So I'm looking forward to the Olympics. It's something I look forward to every 4 years. Later in the week, we'll talk about different events and different sports we watch that we don't care about the other 4 years, but suddenly become experts in during the Olympics. I love all of it. And I love LeBron James right now. And I'm rooting Team USA on. But they have to figure it out and stop taking other teams lightly. Or maybe the other teams really are this good, but I don't buy it. Because even though there are NBA players on the other rosters, it's not these players. These 12 players are far superior as a group than any other team in the world. Team USA is a heavy favorite to win the gold. And that's exactly what they should do. And they should do so with some style points. And LeBron James, I think, will help them get there. Caitlin Clark has helped the WNBA get to a point that no one saw them getting to. Incredible, incredible audience growth for the WNBA. Wall Street Journal piece today notes that since 2008, there's been one game that had 1 million viewers or more in the WNBA. This year alone, they've had 12 of them, and all of them including Caitlin Clark. They have demographics to show and stats to show that Caitlin Clark has driven up the audience for white people, for men. They have a new audience now in the WNBA. Look, it's incredible, and I don't say this in a derogatory way. I say this as a matter of fact. It's incredible what you do when you don't just cater to lesbians. It really is. If you cater to everyone out there and you want everyone to be a part of your sport, you're going to have a much broader audience. I've talked about this before. Coca-Cola is not trying to sell to one race. They're not trying to sell to one sexuality. They're not trying to sell to one religion. They're trying to sell to the world, to everyone. And there are so many people who cover the WNBA or play in the WNBA that truly want it to just be their playhouse. And they don't want the outside world to be a part of it. If you don't agree with them, get out. Isn't that what Serena Williams said with that actress from Abbott Elementary at the ESPYs? Didn't she say, we don't want you, Harrison Butker, in women's sports? Pretty sure she said that, right? No, we don't want your kind. Why? Because Harrison Butker believes something different than she does. And Harrison Butker stands for something different than many players in the WNBA does. I'm not saying every WNBA player is a lesbian or it's wrong to want lesbians to like your sport or any of that. All that's fine. But when you want one group to watch you, and it's only the group that agrees with everything you say, you are limiting your business. You are limiting your sales potential. I would say this to anyone. If you only catered your company or catered your sport to conservative Christian men, then you are limiting your audience. You're limiting who's going to watch you on TV. If you only want to cater your sport to teenage girls, you're limiting your audience. If you want to be one of the big four, I would say now it's a big three. I think we could argue that hockey's probably out at this point. There's a big three in American sports. It's football, it's basketball, it's baseball. The WNBA now has an opportunity because of Caitlin Clark and because of Angel Reese and their rivalry to capitalize on something and to get to an area they've never been before, a profitable area where people are paying attention and wanting to view their product. It's broadened out. The scope of it is different. It's not just a sport for one group of people. More people are into it. But a big problem is that those that have been with the sport from the beginning want to tell everyone they can and anyone who has a microphone that if you don't agree with us, we don't want you. If you haven't been with the W for a long time, we don't really care. And that's a bad business approach. You know who'd agree with me? The owners of the WNBA. And Adam Silver, who is an owner of the WNBA. They want to appeal to the Caitlin Clark fan base, much like they should want to appeal to every fan base. Why? Because you want to be big time. Don't be small time. Be big time. Donald Trump's big time. And if you got a chance to do something with Donald Trump on camera, you should probably do it. Interview. Or, I don't know, play golf. That's what Bryson DeChambeau did. He played golf with the former president, Donald Trump. Donald Trump and his challenge with Joe Biden at the debate led to an offer from Bryson DeChambeau that he would play golf in his try to beat 50 challenge. Well, they did this sometime in early July. Here's a snippet of Bryson DeChambeau and former President Donald Trump playing against each other.
It's very long, folks. It's very long. Man. Is that over the net?
Probably.
Can you see that? I think it's over the net.
I'll get it over.
That's over the net?
Yeah. We don't see that, do we, boss, around here?
We don't see it around here.
We don't see that around here.
I'm ordering a net. Boy, you're such a straight ball, too.
I'm telling you what, it's been a journey to get to hitting it straight with
is
long.
that the driver you love,
This
right?
is the driver
That's the one you love.
It's great, but we are coming out with a new one.
How long can you use a driver before it caves in?
Probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks for me.
And then it just is...
It just starts to flatten. The face starts to flatten. So you see there's curvature on that?
Right.
So it starts to flatten because the golf ball compressing the face so much.
in the air.
And then it stops performing. It starts curving offline too much.
Such a straight ball that Bryson DeChambeau hits. I love that video. I love anyone who asks people questions. So I kind of like seeing a former president and someone as powerful as Donald Trump asking questions of someone else. And he's asking a lot of questions to Bryson DeChambeau about his golf game. I think it's very cool. And what's cooler about it, they raised $200,000 for wounded warriors and veterans. So that's a great deal. I got no problem with this. Apparently people on social media, because people on social media have a problem with everything, they took issue with Bryson DeChambeau. So Bryson DeChambeau had to issue this statement via Twitter. To be clear, this is about golf and giving back to our nation's veterans, not politics. A few weeks ago, I reached out to both parties' presidential campaigns, and Donald Trump was down for the challenge. It is an incredible honor to be able to enjoy a round of golf with any sitting or former president, and all have an open invitation to join me for a round of Break 50 anytime. Well said, Bryson DeChambeau. Well done, Donald Trump. Here's to you, Kamala. Break 50. Let's do it. You can do this. Come on. We want to see you with Bryson DeChambeau next. Challenge has been issued. He said he reached out to both camps. You are now Joe Biden. The coup worked, and you're in his spot. So that invitation stands for you. as you run for president. I'd love to see Bryson DeChambeau with Kamala Harris next. That's what I'm hoping for. Commissioner Jim Phillips of the ACC, as we roll right along. Someone who is in power. How much power exactly? Not really sure, because he's not one of the big two. He's the third out of four, and he's barely hanging on by a thread to be the third biggest conference out there. I think desperation causes people to say dumb things, and I think that's true across the board. I think Jim Phillips and the ACC are pretty desperate because their two biggest football powerhouses in Clemson and Florida State, they want to GTFO. They want out of that conference so bad. They're suing the ACC. So what does that leave Jim Phillips with? Well, it leaves him with him taking the podium to say a bunch of nonsense like this.
There is significant anticipation surrounding ACC football, and our 17 football programs will all look to accomplish greatness. With 33 days until week 0, we know the focus will be on what's ahead for this year. ACC football has the toughest non-conference schedule in the country. 27 games against Power 4 opponents, including Notre Dame. 9 non-conference games against teams ranked in the final 2023 AP Top 25 poll. 10 non-conference games against teams in the ESPN's 2024 Way Too Early Top 25. All of these are the most of any conference. We have elite coaching leadership. 6 ACC head coaches named to the 2024 Dodd Trophy preseason watch list. No conference has more. 2 of the 3 active coaches in the country to win a national title reside here in the ACC, Mac Brown and Dabo Swinney. And the combination of our proven veteran coaches combined with our dynamic young coaches is incredibly powerful. The ACC is the conference of quarterbacks. 13 enter the season with over 20 career touchdown passes and 3,500 career passing yards. 8 quarterbacks are projected to start week 1 in the 2024 NFL season, 25% of NFL teams. And since 2018, at least 1 quarterback has been drafted in the first round in 5 different drafts, the only conference that can state that claim. ACC football has the nation's top returning passer and receiver in yards per game from last year in Cam Ward of Miami and Colin Lacey, Louisville, plus the second returning rusher in Omarion Hampton from North Carolina. Additionally, when you look at the final CFP top 25 rankings over the last 4 years, there are only 7 programs that have been in each, with Clemson and NC State representing the ACC. No conference has more than 2 teams that can state that claim. The combination of our preeminent players and elite leadership only furthers expectations on what's ahead for our individual teams and conference. There's not a more exciting collection of teams in the country than in the ACC.
There you go. Jim Phillips. He said it. Must be true. Not a more exciting collection of college football teams in America than what you have in the ACC. Look, I think when you're reading off a stat that takes so long to get through that you lose interest halfway through the announcement of the stat, then you're probably searching for something that doesn't really matter. I caught something about over the last 4 years, only conference with 7 teams to have multiple something or other, AP top 25. I don't even know. I really lost count about halfway through that explanation of a stat that doesn't matter. Here's the other thing, too. When you hype up the returning passing leader in college football and the returning receiving leader in college football, you fail to mention that both those were accomplished in different conferences. Cam Ward at Washington State and Colin Lacey at South Alabama that have transferred to ACC schools. That's a pretty big omission. This was not taking place, all these statistical accomplishments within your conference. It seems like a little detail you should probably throw out there. Look, it's easy to throw shade at Phillips in the ACC right now. The man's got a tough job. He's got to stand up there to open media days and sell his conference, all the media members that are naturally cynical, and America on the fact that his conference is not crumbling. And the biggest issue is this. Their 2 top programs won out. And you can talk about the most exciting brand of college football or most exciting programs and all of these different things all you want. But the bottom line is you yourself, Jim Phillips, admitted you're not the most exciting. You don't have the best collection of programs because you signed on a piece of paper to take 17% of the college football playoff media share when the SEC and Big Ten are taking 29%. You're 2% better than the Big 12 right now. That's where you are. You're a distant third place. You're hanging on for dear life against a Big 12 that's being super aggressive and, in fact, trying to take your two best football programs in Clemson and Florida State to their conference. Desperate times call for dumb things being said. And that's all that was there. But I've got a little sympathy for Phillips because it's a tough spot to be in if you're him. There's not a lot of great things to sell. And, look, the ACC is not a bad football conference. It really isn't. It doesn't have to be this way. But the realities of college football is that money is the driver. And if you're not in one of those secure top two spots in Big Ten or SEC, or you're not a huge media brand like Notre Dame that can do whatever they want, you're in a tough spot right now. Florida State, Clemson, they know this. You got a decent conference. North Carolina's a great program that anyone would want to have in football or basketball. Louisville has done some nice things throughout their time. It's not bad. People know these brands. They know these schools. It's just the reality you're in. Your top two programs won out, and you're hanging on for dear life. So then you end up saying some pretty dumb things. Included in that is Jim Phillips trying to talk about conference realignment. Here is Phillips at ACC Media Days.
This is a really important time for the conference. And either you believe in what's been signed or you don't. And so we are going to do everything we can to protect and to fight the league because I see a group of student athletes there. We now have 12,000, I think 200 student athletes. And this has been a league that started way before me 71 years ago, and will be a league that'll be around a long time after I depart. This league deserves us to take this really serious issue and to handle it appropriately. What gives me, promise and conviction of it? Because I understand, I think these schools, I understand where we're going. We've made some really good adjustments. And this conference is bigger than any one school.
So either you believe in what was signed or you don't. That was his line about the grant of rights agreement. I know people who've gotten divorced that you could say that. We signed a contract. We signed an agreement. You either believe in that or you don't. And then the contract is torn up and you go your separate ways. Look, a divorce is happening. Florida State and Clemson want to divorce the ACC because they're still a hot commodity. They want to get out there on the market, and they want to secure their spot for the future because they feel they offer too much for that conference based on what the conference is giving them, based on signing into too long-term of an agreement for media rights that has now hamstrung the entire conference financially for the foreseeable future. So Jim Phillips is in a tough spot. I do not envy his position. I do not mean to make fun of him. But when you start drawing at stats that take you that long to get through, you're grasping at straws. And I think that's kind of what the ACC is doing right now. But I wish them luck. And again, they still have some good football programs in that conference. I just don't see it staying together too much longer.